Well, hello again. I thought I'd make a video today about squash. In part because, well, the way the world's going, you might want a good garden this year, mightn't you? Well, this little patch of dirt here out on my front lawn isn't anywhere near as bleak looking as you might think it is. I actually dug it up with the backhoe, and it's been a garden for a couple of years. Now all of these squash coming up have come up on their own from last year. I left some squash sitting on the front window ledge here. Actually, you still see a couple of remnants of them lying there. Several different varieties. I had way too much last year, so I left them out for my friends to take them. Now, interestingly enough, this is what I'm using for my seed stock this year. It's the leftovers from last year. They sat out here all winter, no problem. This thing that looks like a loofah sponge, well, that's a squash. Or what's left of one, that's again sat out here all winter. And believe it or not, it's June, I don't know what today, 2nd, 3rd, this thing's been outside since last fall. It still smells nice. Smells like a pumpkin. I'd actually throw that in a soup, believe it or not. Well, I probably wouldn't, but all your different squashes, they grow heartily, and if I could splice in, if I knew how to do that edit stuff, I could show you last year this whole lawn was just covered in squash. Now, getting seeds and stuff, plants right now, it's really hard. I don't know how much of that to attribute to the COVID, people being bored, and how much of it is probably some good general thinking put in a garden in these uncertain times. However, you can buy a squash, eat the squash, pick a breed that you like, or a couple of them. I'd suggest you leave the seeds dry out for a week. And this is how resilient and hardy they are. Despite being turned over with the backhoe and then dug, you can still see little fellas, here we go, coming up. How deep were those seeds buried? Look at this fella pushing his way up through. About the only pestilence you'll have with them is they can get a little some kind of a beetle. You got to watch when they're fairly young and tender. They'll girdle the stems, and if you don't catch them in time, they'll actually kill the plant. They can set them back by girdling it pretty seriously. I don't know what the proper response is for that. Me, I just keep an eye on them. If I find them, I manually squish them. And that seems to work. They don't seem to repeat and come back. But don't be scared of squash. They're delicious. I'm not going to get into the recipes and stuff. Very hardy, and they keep. You don't have to process them. You don't have to can them, freeze them, anything. You just give them a little washing off and put them somewhere cool. Now, when I first started growing squash, they said to mound them up. I never found I had good results with that. And then I got Googling and looking at other gardening books and stuff. And the people who grow that, decent amounts of them or vast quantities, they just have a flat bed like this, and I find it works well as well. So I don't bother with that mounding business anymore. And they're quite forgiving as well. They don't need a rich, well-tended soil. Just keep the weeds beaten back until they take over. So, that's my squash video. Thank you.